Welcome to the Leadership Spark podcast, where we equip you to be the great leader your people deserve. It's Hampton and Corey here. We're going to talk about a leader's most powerful tool in their toolbox today. And this is something that we've talked about plenty of times on here, but I fundamentally believe that this is true. I've experienced it over my time here at WildSpark over the last 5 years. One-on-ones. That's what we're talking about today. And we hear objections to one-on-ones a lot. We hear people say, oh, well, I'm very close with my team. We interact together on a day-to-day basis, so we don't have separate times set aside for a one-on-one. We hear objections like, well, what is there to really talk about in a one-on-one? Or we hear objections like, well, if something comes up that needs to be addressed, then we'll just address it right then. And all of those things are fair, but usually when I hear these objections, I think maybe there's a miss of understanding of what all that a one-on-one can be. So we'll let Corey talk about it a little bit.
I think a lot of times whenever there's pushback on a one-on-one, there's the excuses, right, that you just talked about. But a lot of times it's because people have had bad one-on-ones, right? Is that people just haven't experienced the value that you can get from a one-on-one. And we believe that it's the most powerful tool in a leader's toolbox, because if you think about it from the context of one of the most important things, or a few of the most important things that you need to do as a leader, is you need to make sure that your team is aligned. And one of the most important ways to, or methods that you would use, or skills that you would need for alignment, is communication and clarity. If you have a confused team, you what?
You lose.
You lose. If your team is confused, if your team is misaligned, if your team is not aware of priorities, if your team is disconnected relationally, they don't trust each other, if your team doesn't have a way to give and receive feedback, if that's the environment that you've created, then good luck. Good luck leading anything that will be even remotely successful. And you as a leader, my guess is you won't be leading long if that's the team that you're leading, and those are the attributes of your team. And so a one-on-one at the highest level is the ability to prevent that from happening, is that it creates this space to where you can drive alignment, you can communicate, you can clarify things that may be unclear, you can align on priorities, you can redirect if priorities are mismatched, you can connect relationally, and you can give and receive feedback, or create space to where I know every week I'm going to this environment that if I have feedback to give, I can give it in that environment in a safe way. And so that's really the purpose of a one-on-one. And interestingly enough, we think we're average smart, right? Sure. Average smart. Someone. So I've been reading a book. It's called The Hard Thing About Hard Things, and it's by Ben Horowitz. I want to tell you a little bit about Ben Horowitz in case you've never heard of him, because he's a pretty smart guy. Pretty super successful guy as well. And I would actually recommend this book, that you would read it if you are trying to build a company and build a team, because it's fantastic. It's really his learnings and principles through multiple startups in the tech world that he's sharing with us. And so Ben Horowitz founded the most successful venture capitalist firm in Silicon Valley with Mark Andreessen in 2009. It's called Andreessen Horowitz. And so if you are even remotely familiar with the venture capital or VC world, you know these names. Like, it is the most successful of all time. Before that, he led a $1.6 billion acquisition of one of his companies. He was part of the early stage Netscape, which I bet most people don't even know what Netscape is, but it was one of the first internet browsers back in the 90s, before Google, before Chrome, or before Safari, or before any of that stuff came to be. And he has built all these companies from the ground up. And when you read this book, The Hard Thing About Hard Things, he talks about the one-on-one meeting is the most powerful tool in a leader's toolbox. He doesn't use that language, but he uses this language of, you would almost like, look, you would be foolish as a leader not to do a one-on-one meeting. Why would you not do that? Even if it's just to check in and to make sure we're still going in the right direction, even if it's just 15 minutes long, it doesn't have to be an hour and a half. We would suggest 30 minutes with every team member every week, and to cover certain things. But it's really a tool that if you neglect it and you don't use it, it's really to your own peril. And so thought by talking about Ben Horowitz is a lot more successful than we are, Hampton, and a lot more smarter. And if he thinks that a one-on-one tool is the most powerful tool in a leader's toolbox, then why would you not think that out there? So we would encourage you to embrace it, implement it, try it. And over time, you will see the results from it, and you will be a better leader as a result, and your team will be healthier, and your team will be more productive and more efficient. And at the end of the day, if you have a team that's producing, you will look like a rock star as a leader, and you will get more opportunities in your career. And it could come down to just having a one-on-one. So have a one-on-one, don't neglect it, and you will thank us for it. You can thank Ben Horowitz as well, but maybe send us a little note saying thank you as well.